And we are looking live at the inaugural ceremony site in Washington, D.C. There is Donald Trump, who will shortly be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. Welcome to your Friday lunch break. I'm Tanya Rivero. Many expect that, much like his campaign, Donald Trump's presidency will defy convention. WSJ reporter Michael Bender joins us now from Washington to discuss. Hi, Michael. Certainly a busy day down there today. How was getting to the office this morning?
You know, it actually wasn't too bad this morning. I think a lot of people have left town. The schools are shut down. A lot of office buildings are, office workers were told to stay home. And there's not really, and it's not quite the turnout that it was, for recent inaugurations. For whatever reason, I'd be hesitant to read too much into that, other than obviously Trump comes in. With a very divided country behind him.
Sure. Well, we're certainly grateful to have you here to talk about your fantastic Wall Street Journal story. Now, in it, you say that a GOP strategist calls the situation in the West Wing deliberate chaos. Can you explain that?
Yeah, this is like, I've got a lot of feedback from this story, and which kind of surprised me, mostly because it's not really that new. If you sort of take a step back and you look at the way that Trump ran his campaign, it was sort of it was this constant deluge of competing messages and bold promises, and it was largely designed to keep himself in the news and keep his opponents and the media, which he views as an opponent, on their heels. And you can see that he's doing the same thing during the transition. Every morning there's sort of a list of tweets he sends out. Recently they've been a little bit more restrained, but often they've been very aggressive, whether he's going after Congress, his fellow Republicans in Congress, whether he's going after civil rights icons. He's stirring things up, and there's sort of a lot of messages and stories going on at once, and this is going to be a tactic that he brings into the White House. I mean, he's coming in with all of his guns blazing.
But Michael, this tactic also seems meant to ensure that Mr. Trump is always the only one in the room who can settle disagreements and make important decisions. How will that work when there's an endless stream of decisions to be made daily?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, this is a role that Trump has never been in, or I don't mean being president, but the responsibilities that come along with that. Trump has run his organization as with him being the sole decider of things and kind of flattened without a hierarchical structure behind him. It's basically been him, his kids, a horde of lawyers. And it all kind of comes down to Trump to make those decisions. In the White House, you have hundreds of staffers, and to say nothing of all the agencies, and you have to deal with Congress, right? I mean, his success is going to largely depend on whether his fellow Republicans in Congress approve his policies, and he's going to have to figure out a way to work with them.
So what do you think we can expect on day one? I mean, Mr. Trump has vowed more than a dozen actions. Which of these actions is he likely to actually implement in his first few days of office?
Well, they've kept a pretty tight lid on what exactly they're going to do. You're right. He made his list of bold promises included more than a dozen different actions on day one, and that is just not going to happen today for a number of reasons. One being, most of Mr. Trump's administration is not going to be in place. In fact, we expect only maybe a couple of his members of his cabinet to be approved by the end of today.
Michael, is that typical?
That's partly because
I'm just curious. Sorry to interrupt, but is that typical or atypical for a new administration?
It's atypical in Mr. Trump's case, right? I mean, Obama had 7 cabinet members in place by the end of his first day, one of whom was a holdover and didn't need a vote, but the Senate confirmed 6 of them. George W. Bush, I think that number was a similar number, maybe 9 at most. Trump, we're expecting 2, potentially 3 by the end of today.
Now let's quickly transition for a moment and talk about what the Obamas have planned now. Here's what they said recently about life after the White House. Listen in.
First, we're going to take a little break. Send us your ideas, your hopes, your beliefs about what we can achieve together. This will be your presidential center just as much as it is ours. So we want you to tell us what we should be thinking about as we get to work.
The work of perfecting our union's never finished, and we look forward to joining you in that effort as fellow citizens. Thank you, and we will see all of you again soon.
So, Michael, is it your understanding that the Obama Foundation will be their main focus?
The Obama Foundation will be the main focus, and and I will say, much like Trump is coming into office as a unique with a unique perspective, and we expect him to do things differently. Obama is going to be much different ex-president than we're used to. He's flying out today, and the family will spend a couple days in Palm Springs, California, but then they fly back to Washington. Their kids are finishing high school. They're moving back to Washington in a neighborhood, and right around the corner in their D.C. neighborhood, it will be the Kushners, Trump's daughter Ivanka and her husband Jared, and also now Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post and Amazon. Obviously, he's going to be in the same neighborhood. But back to your point, we expect Obama to have a role in rebuilding the party. Exactly what that means, though, we'll have to wait and see.
Right, and that's certainly a block party I'd like to attend. All right, Michael Bender in Washington, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.